Governor John Kasich continues to tell Ohioans he's the right choice for governor. Well, he knows a campaign fight is coming. First News reporter Dan Martin covered the governor's State of the State speech 3 weeks ago. Tonight, well, he was listening to the governor again in Niles. Kind of a similar speech here, right?
That's right. We expected to hear things again about job creation, education, a lot of the same topics that the governor touched on just last month at his State of the State address. And Governor Kasich has been touting those administration job creation numbers, and he plans to connect students to the skills they need to fill those jobs. He also says the state is still looking at data to figure out if fracking had anything to do with this month's earthquakes in the Mahoning Valley. A little more than 238,000 private sector jobs have been created in the Buckeye State since John Kasich took over as governor in January 2011.
When we came in after the last administration, we were 48th in job creation, and now we're 5th. That's a significant improvement.
Kasich points to his administration's policies of cutting taxes, balancing the budget, and growing the surplus. But he says it's not enough to create the jobs if Ohio students aren't educated or equipped enough to fill the positions.
We are also creating a system whereby you can see the in-demand jobs in our state, so that when you're a student, you get trained for something that exists, not something that's just purely theoretical.
A series of earthquakes last week prompted ODNR and Hillcorp to shut down all drilling activity near the quake's epicenter. Kasich says the state took the same action after the New Year's Eve earthquake a couple years ago. ODNR is still investigating whether drilling might have caused this latest round of tremors.
We'll handle this responsibly, but we are going to move forward with this energy industry. It's bringing some real good things to our community.
A handful of protesters outside disagree, but this room, mostly full of Republicans, is poised to support Kasich at the polls in November.
Without question, I don't think there's a great difference between the candidates, and we think we've got the right one.
Now, I had hoped to ask Kasich about his role in appointing a new Mahoning County probate judge after Mark Belinkie resigned Friday amid federal investigation of his home and office on possible corruption charges. I simply ran out of time with the governor before his remarks tonight. But we will have more on that story coming up in just a little bit.
So before Kasich's State of the State speech, it was
Right.
Ed Fitzgerald going on the real State of the State speech.
That's right.
So I assume he has a response to what Kasich was doing tonight, signifying that this is an important area for the election.
Yeah, and actually Ed Fitzgerald was here in the Mahoning Valley just a day ago. He was in Boardman for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. We did hear from the Democratic candidate for governor today, and Ed Fitzgerald campaign firing back about Governor Kasich's visit to Niles. The Democratic candidate, as I just told you, was here yesterday for the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Boardman. Fitzgerald says there are still too many people out of work in the Mahoning Valley. Unemployment sits at 8.6%. He pointed out 370 Youngstown workers were laid off from Verizon last year after the company was offered $4.5 million in tax credits from the Kasich administration's Jobs Ohio program. And Fitzgerald's campaign communications director sent us this statement saying, quote, "There's been nothing miraculous about John Kasich's economy for the middle-class families of the Mahoning Valley. As governor, Ed Fitzgerald will hold corporations that get state investments accountable for the jobs they say they will create." End quote. Of course, Fitzgerald and his running mate Sharon Newhard will be taking on Governor Kasich and Mary Taylor in the November 4th general election. And Dave, that's now just a little less than 8 months away.
Just the first verbal spat.
That's
before
right.
that time.
There'll be a lot more still to come. Stay tuned.
All right, we'll keep following it. Well, the Supreme